In 1966, the world was told a simple story. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, an American giant finally crushed European royalty. Ford defeated Ferrari. Detroit conquered Maranello. The GT40 crossed the finish line in a historic 1-2-3 formation, and the victory was sold as a triumph of American engineering, money, and determination. But what if that story is incomplete? What if the soul of the GT40 was never born in Detroit at all, but in a quiet English town called Slough, inside a modest workshop run by a stubborn, brilliant engineer named Eric Broadley? This is not just the story of a race car. It's the story of ambition, betrayal, and a genius whose ideas changed motorsport, while his name was quietly erased. Eric Broadley was not a corporate man. He was an artist. Aluminum was his canvas, and the racetrack was his proving ground. In 1962, Broadley introduced something radical: the Lola Mk6 GT, a lightweight, mid-engined, monocoque chassis endurance car at a time when Ferrari and Aston Martin were still clinging to front-engine designs. This wasn't evolution. It was a warning shot. At Le Mans in 1963, the Lola Mk6 qualified an astonishing 7th overall, embarrassing far larger factory teams before retiring with mechanical issues. But its message was clear. The future of endurance racing had arrived. And across the Atlantic, someone was listening. Henry Ford II was furious. After being publicly humiliated by Enzo Ferrari during failed acquisition talks, Ford didn't just want to compete, he wanted revenge. Le Mans was Ferrari's sacred ground, and Ford wanted to burn his name into it. The problem? Ford had money, but not the blueprint. So instead of starting from scratch, Ford went shopping, and in Slough, England, they found exactly what they needed. Not for sale, but close enough. Ford proposed a partnership, Ford Advanced Vehicles, based in England. Broadley would serve as technical director. Ford would supply funding, manpower, and engines. Together, they promised to build the car that would finally defeat Ferrari. At first, it felt like a dream, but dreams don't survive contact with corporations. Within months, the atmosphere changed. Ford engineers flooded the Lola facility. Clipboards replaced sketches. Decisions were driven by deadlines and production ease, not engineering purity. Broadley believed he was there to create. Ford believed they were there to extract. Later, Ford engineer Roy Lunn admitted the truth plainly. The Lola Mk6 was our starting point. The first GT40 chassis was practically identical. Ford purchased Broadley's patents, prototypes, even unfinished components. The first GT40 chassis was built directly from the Mk6's architecture, its dimensions, its suspension philosophy, its mid-engine balance. The GT40 was not invented, it was inherited. In conflict became inevitable. Broadley resisted compromises that diluted the car's balance. Ford demanded speed, on the track and in development. Committees overruled craftsmanship. Perfection was labeled obstruction. After just 18 months, Broadley walked away. Ford kept everything: the factory, the staff, the intellectual property, and the car. The architect was removed from his own creation. With unlimited funding, Ford refined the GT40. Bigger engines, stronger gearboxes, relentless testing. By 1966, the car was finally ready. And when it won at Le Mans, history was rewritten. The narrative became Ford versus Ferrari, American muscle versus Italian elegance. The quiet Englishman was erased. But inside the GT40, its monocoque chassis, its balance, its layout, the ghost of Lola remained. Broadley, however, wasn't finished. He returned to Lola with something far more powerful than anger: clarity. If Ford wanted compromises, Broadley would build something uncompromising. The result was the Lola T70. The T70 wasn't designed to negotiate with rulebooks, it was designed to dominate. Open-top, brutally light, mid-engined, and powered by massive American V8s,
ironically sourced from Chevrolet, not Ford. The chassis weighed barely 80 kilograms. The bodywork was paper-thin. Everything unnecessary was removed. What remained was pure intent. Drivers both feared and loved it. Mark Donohue called it the fastest thing I've ever driven until it tried to kill me. John Surtees said it told you exactly what it was doing, but you had to stay awake. In the inaugural 1966 Can-Am season, the Lola T70 won 5 out of 6 races, beating factory-backed teams as a privateer entry. Lola had done what Ford couldn't. He built the faster car. Here's the ultimate irony. Ford won Le Mans and earned immortality. But when racing removed the compromises, when horsepower and balance ruled without restraint, the Lola T70 eclipsed the GT40. Lighter, faster, more honest. The GT40 was a corporate victory. The T70 was a personal one. So who really won? Ford got the headlines, the movies, the auction prices. But Eric Broadley got vindication. Because without the Lola Mk6, the GT40 doesn't exist, at least not when it mattered. Without Broadley, Ford starts years later and spends millions more. The GT40 may be a legend, but its foundation was built in a small English workshop by a man history almost forgot. If you enjoyed uncovering the stories they don't always tell you, make sure to subscribe to Engine Insights USA for more deep dives into the hidden history of performance, racing, and engineering legends.